Pati pratigrahinam kamsam. Pati pragrahinam kamsam. Abhyasya abhasya sharirvak. Abhasyaha ashariravak. Asyastvam ashtamo garbho. Asyastvam ashtamo garbho. Hantayam vahase buddha. Hantayam vahase buddha. Pati pragrahinam kamsam. Abhasyaha sarirvak. Asyastvam ashtamo garbho. Se Buddha. Pati pragrahinam kamsam. Abhasyaha sarirvak. Asyastvam ashtamo garbho. Hantayam vahase buddha. Pati pragrahinam kamsam. Abhasyaha sarirvak. Asyastvam ashtamo garbho. Hantayam vahase buddha. Pati pragrahinam kamsam. Abhasyaha sharirvak. Asyastvam ashtamo garbho. Se Buddha. Nida Mataji. Word to word translation. Please repeat after me. Pathi, on the way. Pragrahinam, who was managing the reins of the horses. Kamsam, unto Kamsa. Abhasya, addressing. Aha, said. Ashariravak, a voice coming from someone whose body was invisible. Asyaha, of this girl Devaki. Tvam, you. Ashtamaha, the eighth. Garbha, pregnancy. Hanta, killer. Yam, her womb. Vahase, you are carrying. Abuddha, you foolish rascal. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. While Kamsa, controlling the reins of the horses, was driving the chariot along the way, an unembodied voice addressed him. You foolish rascal, the eighth child of the woman you are carrying will kill you. Purport. The Aman spoke of Ashtamo Garbhaha, referring to the eighth pregnancy, but did not clearly say whether the child was to be a son or a daughter. Even if Kamsa were to see that the eighth child of Devaki was a daughter, he should have no doubt that the eighth child was to kill him. According to the Vishwakosha dictionary, the word Garbha means embryo and also Arbaka or child. Kamsa was affectionate towards his sister, and therefore he had become the chariot driver to carry her and his brother-in-law to their home. The demigods, however, did not want Kamsa to be affectionate towards Devaki, and therefore from an unseen position they encouraged Kamsa to offend her. Moreover, the 6 sons of Marichi had been cursed to take birth from the womb of Devaki, and upon being killed by Kamsa, they would be delivered. When Devaki understood that Kamsa would be killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who would appear from her womb, she felt great joy. The word Vahase is also significant because it indicates that the ominous vibration condemned Kamsa for acting just like a beast of burden by carrying his enemy's mother. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Nyenam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Itinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gauravaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. While Kamsa, controlling the reins of the horses, was driving the chariot along the way, an unembodied voice addressed him. You foolish rascal, the eighth child of the woman you are carrying will kill you. So we see here the pastimes of the appearance of the Lord is being described. And there are some interesting details around this that will help us, think about how to apply these lessons in our own lives. See, the important thing is that the devotees of the Lord are very eager to participate in the pastimes of the Lord. However, the Lord wants them to participate. They take a lot of pleasure in being part of His life and different activities in different ways. And also the Lord's reciprocation with His devotees is very absolute. The Lord is very eager to respect the free will of the devotees and at the same time reciprocate with them. And you see, that's why there is a story, and there is a story behind the story, there is a sub-story behind that. There is so many intricate connections with the different pastimes of the Lord. The same thing is happening over here. A question will come up. Right? Supreme Lord is coming. His mother. Can we turn off the echo, please? No, it's not connected. So, the Supreme Lord is coming to this world. His mother, the Divine Mother of the Supreme Lord, she has to undergo so many tribulations of having, 8 of her children being killed. Right? I mean, just think about it. How painful it should be for a mother. Just a child is born, and in front of her eyes, her own brother is coming and smashing the children to the ground. Can't even imagine, what a painful situation that must be. Right? What is this? What is going on over here? So the background story of all of this. Anybody remembers who these 8 children are? Sons of Marichi. And why were they cursed? Why did they end up in this situation? Yeah, so there's like a very nice, very interesting pastime behind this, right? So this goes back to the pastimes of Lord Brahma's this thing. And so in that incident, there is a very nice lesson of what to do and what not to do. So this is back in the 3rd canto. I'll just read a little bit from a few of the verses here, which will give the sort of the backstory of exactly what happened. So this is describing, Brahma and his creation and all that. So when Brahma was creating different, different parts of the universe, there are some interesting things that happened. So let's see here, 28 and 29. So this is 3rd canto, 12th chapter, text number 28. O Vidura, we have heard that Brahma had a daughter named Vak, who was born from his body, and who attracted his mind towards sex, although she was not sexually inclined towards him. Text 29. Thus, finding their father so deluded in an act of immorality, the sages headed by Marichi, all sons of Brahma, spoke as follows with great respect. O father, this performance in which you are endeavoring to complicate yourself. See, so nicely they're telling. This endeavor in which you are endeavoring, in this performance in which you are endeavoring to complicate yourself, was never attempted by any other Brahma, nor by anyone else, nor by you in previous kalpas, nor will anyone dare to attempt it in the future. You are the supreme being in the universe. So how is it that you want to have sex with your daughter and cannot control your desire? Text 31. Even though you are the most powerful being, this act does not suit you, because your character is followed for spiritual improvement by people in general. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, who, by his own effulgence, while situated in himself, has manifested this cosmos. May he also protect religion for all goodness. The father of all Prajapatis, Brahma, thus seeing all his Prajapati sons speaking in that way, became very much ashamed and at once gave up the body he had accepted. Later, that body appeared in all directions as the dangerous fog in darkness. Right? You see, a very, very difficult lesson being taught in this situation. See, Brahma, only in his mind, he had this momentous attraction to his own daughter walk. It was only in the mind. And because he's such an exalted personality, all of these things are being shown here. Prabhupada explains in the purport about how powerful these modes of material nature are and how this world is, how we should be very careful. And you should see the perfect example of how Marichi deals with this. Right? Very respectfully. They are not saying, hey, we are your children, we are able to control, why you are not able to control? That is exactly what the sons of Marichi did. See the contrast. Sons of Marichi, same situation, same this thing, exactly same thing. And look at the way they are saying. They are not accusing him. They are not this, because you see, in this world, sometimes we get puffed up with our good situation at that moment. At this moment, in this situation, we might be okay. But if Kala brings something situation, some other this thing, in the moment of this thing, you can make a lot of mistakes. That is the nature of this world. We have to be, that's why, who are we talking? We're not talking about some ordinary person. We're not talking about some, somebody here, somebody did something like this. This is the supreme being in this universe, the most, the highest person in this universe, with the highest level of intelligence, the highest level of consciousness, the most powerful living entity in this entire universe. We're talking about Brahma. And, that is why they are saying, see, you are the supreme person, you can act as you want. Actually, nobody can stop Brahma. That's the reality. If Brahma at that moment said, I want to act like this, nobody can do anything. Nobody has the capability, nor the power, nor the strength. That is how the animal world works. What happens in the animal world? If the most powerful animal wants to do something, can anybody stop? Only might is right. That moment. That is the difference between the animal existence and a human being existence, especially at this elevated levels. So they are also very, very respectfully they are saying that, see, you can do what you want, right? And also, see, even though you are the most powerful being, this act does not suit you because your character is followed for spiritual improvement by people in general. Right? And they are saying also, see, nobody has attempted this endeavor before. They are very, very respectfully saying this. That is the nature of behavior with one another. Right? When we see something, some unfortunate situation happening, or some, this thing, nobody can understand all the complexities of everything that is happening in different people's lives. What does the Lord want from this living entity, from that soul, and all that? That is why Vaishnava etiquette always calls for a sense of our own self-control. Right? It is very easy to say words, but one has to actually, in spiritual life, there has to be a continuous, constant self-introspection. looking at our own heart, what exactly is going on in the deep of our heart. Because you see, as we have all talked about this before, you know, science also has done some research. At some age, children learn to lie. Till some age, you go ask a child something, he will tell you whatever, whatever is in their mind. But at certain age, the child learns the art of lying. In the sense that it learns the art of keeping something in the mind and saying something else to the outside. In the material world, it has different meaning and need and things like that. But one has to learn this the proper way. Meaning, in spiritual life, ultimately, our existence is based on truth. Our foundation is reality. If you want to be an illusion, want to fool people and all those things, the material world is available. Why you want to get into the spiritual world and do this drama? Right? That's what the whole world does. Big politicians, big powerful people, this thing. There's something else is going on in their mind and they act differently. And you will see that, they get implicated in all kinds of things. And common man can understand, everybody can understand at a distance. That is why in spiritual life, we have to understand that Paramatma is sitting right in our heart. The interaction with the Paramatma has to be based on truth. And the truth is that just like Brahma himself can get bewildered, we will get bewildered on a continuous basis in our spiritual lives. The bewildering is not the problem. How do you act in that stage is what is important. Recognizing that, till I am conditioned, I will be subjected to the vagaries of this nature. But now let me act to the best of my ability. I may do a mistake also. Learn how to act in that mistake. Right? Like you are in a person of authority, you are in a person of power. You do some mistake that impacts somebody below you. The least you can do is acknowledge that mistake. First, acknowledge the mistake in your own heart. Second, it might be appropriate in many situations to go and apologize and say, oh, sorry, I should not have done this. It doesn't mean that it takes away anything from Brahma is Brahma because he's there for a reason. It's not like in this material world we see these things, right? People play politics with each other. We see this in office environments and all that. Right? Somebody is playing politics, somebody does this, somebody becomes powerful, somebody does this. And we think, oh, how is this, this material world? Yes, things like this will happen. Why? Because there is a backstory behind that. That living entity right now is enjoying the fruits of his karma from a previous life. The foolishness they are doing by playing politics, and they will have to pay the price for it. If you fast forward and see what will happen to them later, you will see that they are paying the price for their foolishness. But we don't see all that. And we start thinking, oh, is this the way this world works? If you do this and that. Otherwise, if everybody knows all the back stories and the forward stories, then you will become a spiritualist and start living spiritual life. Right? And that is what we are being urged to do. It does not matter actually if we are in a drama. So all the backstory, it doesn't matter. Today what is given to you, act to the best of your ability to a standard of the Shastras. Not what you think is convenient, not what is easy, not what is this thing. So here the Marichi behaved so wonderfully, but his sons, they offended Lord Brahma by actually laughing. They laughed and said, hey, we can control, you Brahma, what is this foolishness you're doing? Your own daughter, nobody else you could get in this universe. Like that, very disrespectfully they speak. And Lord Brahma, not that he is cursing them for sake of getting offended and saying you are bad, I am going to teach you a lesson. That's not the mood with which Lord Brahma cursed this thing. So it is explained how that, oh, you need to learn a lesson of how to behave with people, what to say, what not to say, because you could have followed your own father's footsteps. And they are cursed to be born in a demoniac family. And so there is that description of they were born first as the sons of an asura named Kalanemi. So this is in Hiranyakashipu's time, and they were the grandsons of Hiranyakashipu. So Kalanemi is the son of Hiranyakashipu, and these are the grandsons. So what they do, I'll just read over here from Prabhupada's this thing here. Formerly, an asura named Kalanemi had 6 sons named Hamsa, Suvikrama, Krata, Damana, Ripurmardana, and Krodha Hanta. They were known as the Shad Garbhas or the 6 Garbhas, and they were equally powerful and expert in military affairs. These Shad Garbhas gave up the association of Hiranyakashipu, their grandfather, and underwent great austerities to satisfy Lord Brahma, who upon being satisfied agreed to give them whatever benediction they might desire. When asked by Lord Brahma to state what they wanted, the Shad Garbhas replied, Dear Lord Brahma, if you want to give us a benediction, give us the blessing that we will not be killed by any demigod, Maharoga, Yaksha, Gandharvapati, Siddha, Charana, or human being, nor by great sages who are perfect in their penance and austerities. Almost like, their whatever Hiranyakashipu was asking, very similarly there. Brahma understood their purpose and fulfilled their desire. But when Hiranyakashipu came to know of these events, he was very much angry at his grandsons. You have given up my association and have gone to worship Lord Brahma, he said. And therefore, I no longer have any affection for you. You have tried to save yourselves from the hands of the demigods, but I curse you in this way. Your father will take birth as Kamsa. That Kalanemi will become Kamsa. And kill all of you because you will take birth as the sons of Devaki. Because of this curse, the grandsons of Hiranyakashipu had to take birth from the womb of Devaki and be killed by Kamsa, although he was previously their father. This description is mentioned in the Harivamsha, Vishnu Parva, 2nd chapter. According to the comments of the Vaishnava Toshini, the sons of Devaki, the son of Devaki known as Kirtiman, was the 3rd incarnation. In his first incarnation, he was known as Mara and was the son of Marichi. And later he became the son of Kalanemi. And this is mentioned in the histories. See, right? They were first son of Marichi. They offended Lord Brahma. Then they were born to Kalanemi. And they quote unquote offended Hiranyakashipu because they didn't follow his instruction. They went to Brahma to get more power. And so he cursed them. And then they became the sons of Devaki. So the other thing you see here, in the action of Kamsa and the action of Hiranyakashipu also, you'll see how the material world, most of the relationships and the interactions are based on a matter of convenience. This world, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In this world we see, so much drama people do. Oh, you are so affectionate, they'll show so much of affection, they'll talk so nicely. This, as I kept telling, the disconnect between what is going on in your heart and what is in your mouth is very grossly visible in this material world. People are very much used to, they will say something behind their thinking something else. This duplicitous behavior is very detrimental for anybody who is a spiritualist. Because you start maintaining this duality in your brain, and then Maya can play tricks with you, and then you get implicated in all these different complications. So you see here, Kamsa, he was so affectionate to his sister. He said, I will be your chariot driver on this very important day for you. Anybody sees, oh my God, look at this fellow. Such a wonderful affection he has for his sister. He is the king and he wants to become a chariot driver for his sister. What a nice behavior. Exemplary behavior. And then next second he's going there nicely, this thing. And Ashari Ravani comes, a useless fellow, your person you are driving is going to, like a beast of burden you are carrying your sister, and her son is going to kill you. Instantly. What? Take the sword and getting ready to cut off the head of the sister. Previous second there was so much love and affection. Next second, because it's not convenient, it is detrimental to his life, he wants to kill. So this is the nature of the material world. Even see Hiranyakashipu. Oh, you are my grandsons, how much affection a grandson has, grandfather has for the grandsons. And then they go to Brahma to get boons. He finds out, I no longer have any connection with you. I'll curse you now. This is the nature of that. So this is very interesting. What happens after this also? Later, in the later chapters, 84th chapter, I think, 85th chapter. This pastimes of the sons being killed doesn't stop here. You can imagine a mother always has affection for the children. So this is fast forward a lot of things happen. Later part of Lord Krishna's pastimes, when they go to Kurukshetra, that solar eclipse, was it solar or lunar? Solar eclipse. And that whole pastime of, the Vrajavasis and everybody going there and all that. So after that pastime happens, everybody returns back to Dwaraka. And they're all describing and mentioning, what all happened. We met with this. It is so nicely described over there that the Yadavas and Nanda Maharaj and his entourage, right? They were all so affectionate to each other. So they went over there. Nanda Maharaj and this thing, they didn't want to leave. And they said, no, you stay for some more time, They said, no, we want to. They were supposed to go. They ended up extending their stay not for 1 day, 2 days, 3 months. They extended their stay. And later, they all came like this. Right? And so, when they came back, then they are describing, what all happened. At that time, Vasudeva is just remembering the sages of who would have assembled in the Kurukshetra. Lord Krishna worships them and says, oh, what a great fortune that that you have all come here and all that. And at that time, the sages reply back with astonishment. They say that, oh Lord, oh Supreme Lord, look at your wonderful behavior. You are the Supreme Lord, but you are calling us, greater than you, and you are asking for our blessings and all that. How wondrous is your behavior with your, these things. So Vasudeva is remembering that. And when Krishna and Balarama come to meet him, there's a wonderful description of prayers he offers. Now he is recognizing them as the Supreme Lord, not as his son, and he offers prayers. And there's a nice interaction between Krishna Balaram and Vasudeva. In that interaction, at the end of it, Devaki, she says, I've heard that you bestowed special favor on your spiritual master and brought his sons back to life. Now, can you please do the same for me? So, after all, the mother has affection for her children. And she still remembers, it has been so many years. Just imagine, she still fondly remembers the children and asks, can you please help? Can you do something for me? And the Supreme Lordships, say, yes, mother, very dutifully. Then they go, these children will be with, where will they be? Sutaraloka, right? They will be with Bali Maharaj. So they come down to meet Bali Maharaj. And Bali Maharaj, very wonderfully, receives them, offers respect and this thing, and says, how can I, serve you? So happy to see them. At that time, Krishna and Balaram, tell that, hey, these 8 sons, they were the sons of Marichi, and then they were cursed to become sons of Kalanemi, and then they were born to Devaki, and now they are with you. Can you please return them? Because our mother wants to see them. And so Krishna Balaram bring all of these 6 children to Devaki. And Devaki is filled with affection. I'll just read a few of those verses there. Is very nice. After saying this, Lord Krishna and Balarama, having been duly worshipped by Bali Maharaj, took the 6 sons and returned to Dwaraka, where they presented them to their mother. When she saw her lost children, Goddess Devaki felt such affection for them that milk flowed from her breasts. She embraced them and took them onto her lap, smelling their heads again and again. Lovingly, she let her sons drink from her breast, which became wet with milk just by their touch. She was entranced by the same illusion energy of Lord Vishnu that initiates the creation of the universe. By drinking her nectarian milk, the remnants of what Krishna himself had previously drunk, the 6 sons touched the transcendental body of the Lord Narayana, and this contact awakened them to their original identities. They bowed down to Govinda, Devaki, their father, and Balarama, and then, as everyone looked on, they left for the abode of the demigods. Seeing her sons return from death and then depart again, the saintly Devaki was struck with wonder, O king. She concluded that this was simply an illusion created by Krishna. Right? So we see here the wonderful pastimes of these interactions and some lessons for us to learn from here. we should always act to the standard that the Shastras prescribe to be done in any situation. We should not be considering, what do people expect, what does the society expect, what should I do, what is pleasing, what is not pleasing. These are all okay things, but we have to transcend beyond that. And we see in this wonderful pastime all of this being described and shared. And this example of how Marichi behaved in that situation, and how the sons of Marichi, did not exhibit ideal behavior, and the consequences of that. Okay. So we'll stop here. Anybody has any questions? Maybe one question we can take. Are they ready for Darshanarthi? Doesn't look like it. Anybody has any questions or comments? No questions? Are they ready for Darshanarthi? How many minutes? It's saying here that they went back to the abode of the demigods. I think they would have gone to Marichis where they were, and then I think, because it's clearly saying that they were awakened to their original identities because they touched the Supreme Lord, meaning they would have become pure devotees at that point. So they're just winding up their pastimes of being the sons of Marichi, and then I think at the end of that life they'll go back to Supreme Lord. So if you understand some of these interactions, again, this whole world is meant to be an apprenticeship for us to learn, how to behave in the spiritual world, right? That's why it's always appropriate to keep remembering the reality that we are criminals and we are in jail. So we are in jail because we have a criminal mentality. So unless we show that we've been refined by our action, because again, like for convenience sake, when everything is favorable, we will behave like good citizen. But an opportunity is given to steal, you will again steal. Nobody is looking, nobody will ever find out. I'll make a lot of money. Ek bar kar lete hain. That is the nature of this thing. Unless you are fully reformed to say, no, this is not nice. But the reason why we are doing it is to say, you have to understand the overall picture. You have to understand, you have to rise above, being attracted by immediate benefit and think of the ultimate benefit. Then automatically, we become reformed. So here, in this material world, we are being tested to see, can you exhibit Vaikuntha behavior while being here. So that's the fact that they had to go through all these different iterations, and then that curse also is a boon, right? They're being born as brothers of the Supreme Lord. It's not an ordinary situation, right? And they drank the same milk that Krishna was drinking. What great fortune is that? And so at that time is an opportunity for them to say, oh, here's what I did, here is what I should correct. And that's why they say that, by touching the transcendental body of the Lord, they became their original identities. Ultimately, we have to learn, in every aspects of our dealing and understanding, we have to exhibit Vaikuntha behavior. There is no escaping. There is no such thing as something will happen suddenly and will become pure devotees. We might get the sudden mercy of the Lord, just like that's why the example of Ajamila is given. Right? Yes, Ajamila, he was so sinful. He chanted the holy name of the Lord at death, and so he was purified. And they said, "Oh, we no longer can take you back, take you to Yamalok." But then he was given his life again, so that he can go and practice austerities and perfect himself. And so we see how they perfected. He went, and perfected himself, and then the golden aeroplane came to come and take them back home, back to God. We see that in Narada Muni's example. Narada Muni, when he was the son of the maidservant, he performed austerities, and the Supreme Lord appeared. He was so blessed to see the Supreme Lord, and then he was filled with joy and this thing. And then the Lord disappeared. And Narada Muni tries to recreate. So how did I do this? Let me sit exactly here, do this. Then he's doing all the meditation and all that, but nothing is happening. The process that it is exactly the same. I'm sitting in the same place. My consciousness is the same. I'm doing the same thing. I'm meditating. Why Krishna is not coming? And then an Asharira Vani, the Lord just says, "Hey, I gave you special mercy at that time by appearing myself in front of you. But you go and perfect yourself. And at the end of your perfection, you will come back to me." And then he has to do that. So in all our lives, we have to act. That is why the sooner we learn our lessons, the better. So every moment we have, every opportunity we have, we should try to practice different aspects of Krishna consciousness, practice austerity, practice proper behavior, proper etiquette, and in every opportunity try to keep refining ourselves. The success in life is if we are moving forward. The success is if our consciousness of yesterday and consciousness of today, there is a slight change, slight difference, a slight recognition. Sometimes that's why we say first is recognition of the problem. If you don't recognize, if you can't see the problem, you cannot solve it. Right? Amitabh Prabhu uses some words. What does he say? Some incompetence. What is it he says? Conscious? Unconscious incompetence. What is then conscious incompetence? Then conscious competence. And then unconscious competence is fine, because by that time it becomes part of your DNA. So then, you don't have to think about it, you can act on it. If it's going to be later, we can maybe do Guru Puja and then go to this thing. What is the situation? Sanatana? It's transcendental. Huh? So shall we start Guru Puja then? Why don't we do one thing? Why don't we just have darshan and then they can finish whatever little bit they have to do? They can come back and do 7:43. So, yeah, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, how do we deal with this when we see something is wrong, someone is in authority or not in peers, or things are going wrong or not seen right? What should we do? As what is the best Vaishnava etiquette on that?
Yeah.
Because
No,
we don't want to go into the fault finding.
correct. It's a very, very, very interesting question. And it's $1 million question, the Holy Grail. It's not easy. But there are certain principles we can follow. One is, the question is, if you find somebody is doing something incorrect, like, should we tell them, should we not tell them? We ourselves have the same problem. What should we do, not do? How do we behave in this situation? It's actually, there's a multiple nuances in this. First thing you have to recognize is, what is my relative position to that person? That is the very first important thing. Is that person my peer, or is my superior, or somebody below my this thing? And when in doubt, always assume that somebody is above you. Most of those things, sometimes it is very apparent, right? Social norm, or this thing. Even when I have contemplated this myself many times. When you have an association of Vaishnavas, and then this thing, even the authority system created by, let's say, the GBC or something, it is not perfect. Nobody, even you go ask the GBCs, is this a perfect? They'll say, no, we are doing our best. If somebody has been put in, this person is temple commander, this person is president, this person is vice president, whatever. It's not that they are perfected beings and they are in their position because they are this thing. They have reached a certain situation. For that situation, they are able to execute some this thing. Now, will they make mistakes or not make mistakes? They will make mistakes as long as in this material world. Now, that is why you should understand, who is this person my peer, a person below me, or person above? Now, if it is a person who is superior, follow Marichi's example. Right? Now, this was, Marichi was, and all the sages were seeing that this was a Brahma, because till they spoke, Brahma didn't realize his mistake. So very, very respectfully, very nicely, very distinctly, they felt the need to say. Many times, that's what you say, that I'm seeing this situation. You could also, just like they're saying, right, my imperfect understanding looks like this is wrong, like this. What is the right thing? Please guide us. Let the Lord guide us in the right way. They're not accusing. They're not saying you're wrong. They're not saying you should do this. They're just very respectfully they're saying, it seems like that. That is acceptable. Now, when somebody is even your peer, you have a friendly relationship, you can this thing. If you don't have a friendly relationship, but they're doing something egregious, you should go to an authority and say, oh, I saw this happening or this happened. So that way somebody can act on it. Once you express your this thing, your problem is over. You're like, my problem is over. I don't have to wait for it to be corrected and this thing. Most people get into this thing. Hey, correct one. This is that. GBC is not acting on, we have given a big email and they're not acting on this. What all is going on, why they're not acting, how they're not acting, this thing. If the GBC acts on everything that everybody gives, nobody can live. We'll all be in, like we're all criminals, we're in jail, we all do mistakes. If they keep taking on every action, everything, everybody will be in solitary confinement. Right? Best is put everybody in solitary confinement, we're all good, no? Isn't that the best solution? All criminals, put them in solitary confinement. They can't move, they can't do anything, so what? No mistakes will happen. So can they ever get out of jail if you keep everybody in solitary confinement? You have to take somebody out and say, okay, you are behaving little better, we will allow you to interact now. Right? Night time you are locked up, daytime you have seen, they'll open, the doors will automatically open, you can all come out, you can work together, do something together, do some this thing. Now there you fight, what will happen? Back to solitary confinement. If you behave properly, better position, better position, better position, better position. And at some point, the criminal is sitting around with the jailers, and they're this thing. They say, "Come join us for lunch." They're having lunch with the jail superintendent. They're almost living like non-criminals. Then what they do? The next parole meeting will happen. They will say this person is consistently over a long period of time shown that they are ready. Then they will be left out. Same thing is happening over here. So, when it is somebody below you also, by the way, somebody below you also, there is an etiquette to telling. If somebody below you, you keep telling every mistake that happens, "Hey, you're doing wrong, hey, you're doing wrong." Hey. We know we are wrong. Most of the time, the person doing the mistake knows they are doing a mistake. So, you just keeping quiet is many times the better solution in that. You don't have to. If they continue to do a mistake, it's going to impact somebody in some situation. And there also, I'm also still learning. We have never figured out. We keep one trick that seems to work is that have, like for example, have a seminar on how to behave with each other. Then it says everybody is sitting and talking about what is the right behavior, instead of telling somebody you're doing wrong like this. Because the nature of the living entity is, you can go into, "Oh, I'm wrong." You're wrong. Material nature also is punishing you for your mistake. So many things are happening. People can go into depression. Oh, this, that, this thing. So many problems can happen. And sometimes you become defensive. You don't know how to correct yourself. Like so many things are there. That is why first this thing is we should try, whatever the problem is, discuss the problem in a group setting, and ask people, "Hey, how should we behave in this?" And then, because some area is our strength, some areas of weakness, somebody will tell, "Oh yeah, this is how we should behave," and so from that we learn, and then that's how we correct ourselves. That's a much better. But there are some things you have to tell directly, and you have to punish, and then that is the most direct way, because like you outside, you then put you back in solitary confinement sometime, with the understanding that one day you will come out. Right? Okay. So it's a very intricate story like this, and that's how we will we'll all get to perfect ourselves and go back home, back to God. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Bol Premanande.